Good morning. Let us discuss about the concept of culture. As an anthropologist, this is one of the areas that we are interested in because all human beings possess culture. This is what differentiates humans from non-humans. Only humans possess culture, and this is what separates us from the animal world. Now, let us define culture. Of course, culture is defined in many ways. Some people say this is the man-made portion of the environment. Other people say this is about the way of living of any society. One anthropologist, he's a British anthropologist, who was the first one to give a scientific definition of culture, is Sir Edward Burnett Tylor. He published a book in 1871 entitled Primitive Culture. In that book, he mentioned that culture is that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, law, morals, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So let us look at the key words that he mentioned. First, it is man. Okay? As I mentioned, only humans possess culture. The nearest relatives that we have, which are non-human primates such as the chimpanzees, we share a lot of traits with them genetically. However, they do not have culture. For example, language as a portion of culture. Chimpanzees, although they have 97% shared genes with humans, do not possess language. At most, they could give warnings to fellow chimpanzees, but they could not express ideas that were experienced by their ancestor chimpanzees. They could not express ideas that they themselves do not witness. So at most, we call the communication form of chimpanzees as a proto-language, something that still needs to be developed in order to attain the complexity of human communication, which is known as language. The other key word mentioned by Tylor is society or population, because culture refers to something that is shared by a group, at least by two people, but in most instances more than two, such as Philippine society, for example. So for example, why do some Filipinos from Tawi-Tawi all the way to Batanes point to certain objects using their lips, such as where's the glass case, and they would use their lips to point to that object. This is something shared by Filipinos, but not shared by Filipinos with Taiwanese, with Malaysians, with Indonesians, who are our neighboring Southeast Asians. So cultural is, what we call cultural is something shared. Now, culture consists of many concepts such as beliefs, arts, laws, etc. So as anthropologists, we mentioned that there are 4 domains of culture, everything of which is man-made. This consists of the economic domain, the social domain, the political domain, and the ideational domain, also known as ideological domain. The economic domain consists of food production, distribution, and consumption. The social domain consists of social organizations, kinship and non-kin groups. The political domain consists of concepts of power, political organizations, decision-making, conflict resolution. And the ideational domain consists of non-tangible aspects of culture, such as religion, worldview, aesthetics, music, arts, etc. But all of these 4 domains are interlinked with one another. For example, the concept of relasyong magsuki is both an economic and a social cultural trait. When you change one aspect of culture, one domain of culture, it brings about changes in other domains. And this is one critique that we have in some social scientists who do not look at culture as an integrated whole. For example, some economists introduce economic reforms without looking at its political implications. What are its impact on the family, etc., etc. So we may say that culture is an integrated whole. Another characteristic of culture is that all cultures change. There is no such a thing as a static culture. Cultures that have refused to change eventually become extinct. Even very traditional cultures such as Chinese culture has changed through time. The different Chinese cultures have changed with the changing dynasties in China. Of course, some parts of culture change at a more rapid rate than others. Based on analysis of patterns of culture, the material culture changes at a faster rate, such as our clothes, architectural styles, technology, but the ideology changes at a slower rate. So values remain practically the same. For example, Japanese culture is very modernized technologically, but the values are very traditional. Now, we may ask, what are the component parts of a cultural system? All cultures would have an environmental setting, a space where that culture is practiced or where it originally came from. If we talk about Philippine culture, we're referring to the environmental space known as the Philippine Archipelago. The other component part of culture is group or society. All cultures would have culture bearers. Who are the members of that culture who practice the said culture? If we talk about Philippine culture again, we're talking about Filipinos, whether they are found in the Philippines or they're spread out in the world. The third component part would be material culture. All types of cultures would have material expressions, the things that people fashion and make, such as clothes, houses, buildings, etc. The fourth component part would be all human activities are part of culture. So this includes economic activities, social activities, political activities, religious activities, etc. And the fifth part would be cultural tradition. Strictly speaking, cultural tradition also refers to human activities and behavior, but these are activities that are practiced through time and across generations. Because human activities may be in the form of fads. For example, Jejemon culture is something that is practiced by some segment of the Filipino youth, but we're not too sure whether that practice will continue in the future. But those practices that persist, such as fiestas, Filipino religiosity, they're very much a part of cultural tradition. Now, you may ask, where does language fit into those five component parts? In my point of view, language transcends the five, because all of these five parts can better be expressed and can only be expressed through language. The space we call as Philippines is largely a product of our linguistic understanding of what the term Philippines means.